bring in our headliner. Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, author of the new book, Trump's America, and a Fox News contributor. Mr. Speaker, thank you for being here this morning. You're helping us kick off the week. It's going to be all about Kavanaugh and this FBI investigation. Where do you see it going?
Well, let me say, first of all, congratulations on your first year. It's been very, very successful, and I always enjoy being with you and Bill. So
thank you.
Thank you. Look, I think it's pretty clear if people are honest and they look at folks like Senator Booker saying you're complicit with evil if you're for Kavanaugh, they look at Senator Unruh saying men should shut up. They look at Congresswoman Maxine Waters saying hunt them down wherever they are, go into restaurants, go into gas stations, drive them off the street. You have two different patterns here. And the real question in the 2018 election is going to be, what kind of America do we want to become? The left, I don't care what the FBI comes up with. If the FBI comes out and says there is zero evidence that Judge Kavanaugh did anything wrong, the Democrats will promptly say, are already shifting to, well, what about drinking? What about this? What about that? I think that you have to recognize they're engaged in a search and destroy mission, as Lindsey Graham said the other day. It's deliberate. It's not an accident. It's not a game. They want power. As President Lincoln warned in his Cooper Union address, they want rule or ruin. And if they have to ruin the entire system, they are prepared to ruin it, and you're living through it. And I think Republicans have got to get awake and understand this is not some game, and it's not because Senator Schumer is confused. It is a deliberate, vicious, willful character assassination.
There were two things I just want to share with our viewers here, and we'll get you to react to all this. But I think technically the clock is running on the 1 week mark, because McConnell came to the floor Friday afternoon and said 51 Republicans have voted yes to advance the motion, which would mean if it started on Friday afternoon, this coming Friday that's when we start to go into the Senate procedures, which would take us probably through the weekend, I'm guessing, which would set us up for the following Monday or Tuesday based on the calendar. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but you can answer that in a moment. Orrin Hatch sent out this on a tweet. It's quite fascinating to see the sudden interest from Senate Democrats after they actively prevented the FBI from investigating these allegations for 6 weeks. So there's your pushback on that. Bill Cassidy, the Republican from Louisiana, characterized it a different way. And bear in mind what the country's been going through over the past 2 years and the Me Too movement. He said this, Mr. Speaker.
Democrats have weaponized the Me Too movement, which is awful, because the Me Too movement is so important to stop the sort of behavior we've seen like Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby. Now it's weaponized. So one person making a claim, which obviously something happened to Dr. Ford. She strongly believes that, but no one else corroborates.
There's a whole lot in here, and I'll let you go ahead and take it in a moment. But given the way the lawyers for Dr. Ford really negotiated with Chuck Grassley to get her before that committee, do we think that Dr. Ford's attorneys are going to allow this FBI interview to happen, or will they set conditions up for that interview, which in all likelihood, if that happens, that blows past this coming Friday?
Well, look, I think they have a different problem. They are faced with the very real possibility. Remember, first of all, any two Republicans can stop procedure on Friday. I mean, so McConnell may have scheduled it, but if for one reason or another elevator incident, an incident at a restaurant, if all of a sudden two Republicans go, well, I'm not sure, then Friday disappears too. Second, remember, this whole thing is very weird. She was apparently hiding at her parents' beach house in Delaware. Which Democratic staffers knew that? The whole thing has been a manipulated, deliberate process designed, frankly, to drive it past the midterm elections and to keep Kavanaugh off of the current court, which starts today. So I'm very doubtful that we're seeing anything like fair play, or that anybody should, relax and believe that anything has been agreed to at the present time. I don't know if they're going to let her talk or not, because the FBI, if you look at the report by the woman prosecutor from Phoenix who came and interviewed her, she's pretty devastating in saying, she couldn't corroborate this, she couldn't corroborate this, she couldn't corroborate this. I just tweeted out the entire letter she sent the Republicans. And you look at that, the fact is Dr. Ford probably had something happen to her. the question is her memory 36 years later accurate? And she has zero corroboration and a whole lot of holes in her story. Now, you're not supposed to say that, because you're not supposed to, take on the person in a direct way, because it doesn't fit the current appropriate behavior. But at what point do you allow this guy, this father, this husband, this son, to be destroyed on the unsupported allegation of a single person about a high school incident 36 years ago, for which she has been able to deliver zero corroboration? And I think it'll be interesting to watch, because if the FBI comes back and says there's nothing wrong, the Democrats by Friday will have 5 new charges.
Mr. Speaker, you started out by saying Republicans need to wake up. What did you mean by that? What do you want to see Republicans do here? Now we're weeks away from midterm elections. What should be the strategy?
I think it's very straightforward. The 2018 election is about which America do we want to become. Do we want to be an America where people rush into your restaurant, invade your personal space? Do we want to be an America where people can be smeared and destroyed on totally unsubstantiated behavior? Do we want to be an America in which the government is used as a weapon to make you change your life? That's what the left is. So you're going to have a choice. And you see this morning, by the way, in the great news about the deal with Mexico and Canada. You have a results-oriented team led by Trump, and you have a resistance-oriented team led by Pelosi and Schumer. And Republicans ought to draw this line very clearly. They ought to say, for example, we're trying to protect our children from fentanyl and opioid deaths. The Democrats don't care about it. They're willing to have a totally open border, even if that means more fentanyl and more opioid deaths. We have to be as blunt and as emotional and as direct as our Democratic opponents, or they're frankly going to run over us.
Now, I know you wrote a piece for FoxNews.com about the blue wave, specifically in Georgia. I just want to share a clip from the Washington Post article, guys. It's number 6. This is what they write in part with midterms 5 weeks from tomorrow. The questions facing Democrats and some Republicans as the campaign begins in earnest: should they wade into the mud and make attacking Trump a centerpiece of their efforts, or should they attempt to craft a more uplifting message of their own, end quote. This has been debated now. It's crunch time to make a decision. What do they do?
Well, look, the Democrats can't get away from being the resistance party. It's what they spent the last 2 years on. It started election night. And my prediction, I did this, I just wrote a small paper that's at Amazon on the 2018 election, and I started by linking to an interview I did with Megyn Kelly 2 weeks before the election last time, when everybody knew Trump was going to lose. People tend to forget this. Everybody knew Trump was going to lose. Well, I'm here to say I think the odds are even money. Election night 2018 will be an even worse shock for the left than 2016 was. I don't think people want open borders. I don't think people want tolerance for fentanyl and opiate deaths. I don't think people want giant tax increases. I don't think people want to see mobs out there running around intimidating and bullying people. And I think that the Democrats are in a very, very weak position going into the last 5 weeks.
Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, in this op-ed, you're writing about a different kind of blue wave currently washing across several states. It's a blue wave of liberal funding.
Well, that's exactly right. You have billionaires out here writing $100 million checks, which is certainly an effort. But look, I'm an optimist about the American people. And we just saw this happen in South Texas in a very underreported, stunning victory in a district we've not had in the state Senate in 139 years. We won in a district that is 63% Hispanic, 74% Hispanic and black combined.
Why?
We won a decisive victory on big issues because we had a great candidate who fit the district and who campaigned on big issues. He said, I want to control the border to protect our children. I want to make sure, he said, I oppose the Democrats' effort to have tax-paid abortions, which in the Hispanic community turned out to be a huge issue. He said, I want lower taxes, more take-home pay, more jobs. He actually likes the idea that we have the best economic growth in a half century. And the Democrat had not much to balance that off with. I mean, if you run as the party of tax-paid abortions, the party of an open border letting anybody come in, look at Gavin Newsom running for governor of California. He wants to offer free health care to every illegal immigrant who can get to California. Now, that's going to create a magnet for every sick person on the planet to decide they want to go to California so the California taxpayers can pay for them, and it's going to destroy the California health system.
It's almost,
this is the kind of mindless stuff you're getting from the left.
It is almost decision day. Mr. Speaker, thank you for your time. We certainly hope you come back very soon, okay? We got 5 weeks from tomorrow. Newt Gingrich, thank you.